being broadcast around the world. Thanks everyone for joining us on the Solar Objections live action role play. I have the pleasure to introduce a big UFC fan, fellow poker player, Solar Pro, and my friend, Solar Joe.
Thanks, Bruce. Man, it's so great to hear from him every week. But today I have the pleasure to introduce Riley Traveler. I mean, if you look at the dictionary for solar stud, his face is right there. This guy is a beast. He was in solar since 2013 when he graduated from Utah State. And ever since then, he just builds businesses. He levels up companies. He takes crews from the low installs to a high install. And now, after COVID, he started Boundless, took them from 0 to over 500 sales per month. I mean, this guy is a wealth of solar information and business information, and he's only 21 years old. Now, I'm just joking about the last part, but Riley, man, thanks so much for being here, man.
Hey, man, pleasure's all mine, man.
You do look 21, though, just to let you know.
Thank you. I'm trying to ride that out as long as I can. So
awesome. Hey, everybody watching, Riley is a big deal, and he came make some time for us. If you're excited like me, go put in the comments excited or let's go. And also go ahead, put a comment in there, ask him a question, give him an objection he can handle and show us and train us. But if you want your name shown, you have to go to the bottom of the post, click on the StreamYards link and give us permission to show your name. If not, it'll just say Facebook user. But today we're doing a little something different. Riley is going to do a little training on the fundamentals. So let's get started.
Sick transition, by the way. Well done. Before I get into that, I do you, sir, are doing a service to the whole solar industry. And when I saw what you were doing, there's a ton of value here, and you've been going at it every single week. You're consistent. And I just, my hat's off to you, man, because not everybody gives this much. There's a lot of takers out there. My friend, you are giving value every single week. So
it's the solar pros like you getting on stage and giving their value. And, you are doing trainings for your teams, but you come in here doing trainings for everybody. So it's the solar pros too. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. But I just showed up 5 minutes ago, so you've been doing all the work. Yeah, man. So I honestly didn't know exactly what to talk about. I think there's a billion different topics that you can dive into, and you can get as granular as you want, or you can take as macro of an approach as you possibly would want to take. And there's just so many things. So when you asked me to do this, I started thinking and brainstorming a little bit about, what I could do and who our target user is or who our target audience is, and just trying to think how I can add some value. And I kind of narrowed down a couple things here, but like you mentioned, I started in solar in 2013. Like anybody that ever started in solar, I wasn't that good at first. So, I kind of got into the game, and I'll start out with just a little bit of a story here. And I sold alarms. I sold home security door to door in college. So in the summer times, I'd go I lived in Tennessee. I lived in Portland, Oregon, selling alarms. So I kind of learned how to sell, but I really didn't. I learned how to get people to sign contracts, and then an alarm system's installed before you even leave the house. They're drilling holes in the wall, and so retention's they don't even have time to cancel, So retention's solar's just a whole different ball game from that standpoint. So when I got into solar, I thought I knew how to sell. I thought I was good. I came out, I sold deals, and most of, if not all of my first 10, 20 deals, they canceled. And so I don't know if anybody here has gone through that, but I have been there, and it's devastating because if you're like me, my first 3 or 4 deals that I closed, I'm calling all of my friends, telling them how much money I just made and that they should come do this too. And then it doesn't come to fruition. And so, that's a demoralizing thing. So if anybody that's there right now, I've been there, I understand that. I think that kind of leads me to this topic, because it wasn't until I ran into a couple of people in a neighborhood that I was knocking doors in, and I ran into a guy named Felice. And Felice was just an incredible guy. He was a meat cutter at Costco, and he was extremely just warm and embracing and inviting when I met him, and we just became friends right away. And I ended up selling Felice, excuse me, and he ended up getting installed. And then we went over, actually right after I sold him, we signed him up, and he's like, you know what, you need to talk to my sister-in-law. I'm like, okay. And we walk across the street 2 doors down to his sister-in-law's house. And we go through the presentation there, and then bada bing, bada bang, I got a 2-for-1. And I'm like, oh, wow. But then what happened was, after the fact, I was in touch with Felice because this was 2 deals. So I didn't want to lose these. And I was kind of getting, frustrated losing deals. And, this one went to install, and his sister-in-law's house, they went to install. And I met a neighbor across the street named Adam, who was an incredible guy as well. And we signed him up, and we became friends. And long story short, what I learned was, I ended up watching the Super Bowl at Felice's house. I went to the New Year's Eve party. There was 2 parties going on, one at Adam's house, one at Felice's house, across the street. They literally were right across the street from each other. And I'm attending both New Year's Eve parties. I'll tell you, okay? I sold 4 deals from the Super Bowl. I sold 2 deals at each house, not at that, but I got those deals at the Super Bowl. I got 2 deals from Felice's house on New Year's Eve, 2 deals from Adam's house on New Year's Eve.
And you're just making friends? You're just making friends and things naturally progress?
They invited me to join their fantasy football league. And I'm not even in the fantasy football league, but who is my brother. So I asked my brother to help me draft, and I'm like, I'm going to get into fantasy football. But here's ultimately the principle here. I wanted to talk about a couple principles that I think are key, and they've been key to my success. And so I can attest to anything I've accomplished, I can attribute it to this, and that is that relationships are a winning strategy. Good relationships are a winning strategy. They will allow you margin for error in your follow-up process. They will allow you to make mistakes in an install. They'll allow, if your PTO takes too long, or if the roof leaks, or whatever it may be, because you build good relationships, you're buying yourself a margin of error that just doesn't exist otherwise. And so I learned from that point on that I needed to invest time, energy, and resources into the relationships, and not fake relationships. I mean, good, genuine relationships. These are people that I still get Christmas cards from. We still send them cards. We're friends on Facebook. I'm watching their kids grow up. We're commenting back. These are from, what is that, 8 years ago now?
Wow.
So that I can attribute. I was in Tucson only for about 9 months. This was in Tucson, Arizona. I then moved out to the East Coast, and I helped open up the state of New Jersey for SolarCity Direct. Yep. And it was there. So guess what? I got another story to tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
I built up a good pipeline of referrals, and business was getting easy in Arizona. And I was starting to look like I knew what I was doing, when really what I learned how to do was build relationships and get a lot of lay down customers. I wasn't the best closer per se. I didn't have the best presentation per se. I wasn't the best at handling objections. But what I got really good at doing was finding really easy lay down customers.
Yeah, referrals are the best leads. Everybody says it, and you have to work it like that because there's so much value in a high percentage close, right?
Yeah, but the problem is it's not instant gratification though. So you don't get you can't go knock 10 doors and get a referral.
Yeah,
you can knock 10 doors and get a sale, but you can't. The referrals take time, and it's like planting a garden, right? You got to water the garden, you got to weed it, you got to tend it, and if you do, it will bear fruit. And if you don't, it just will get taken over by weeds and it'll die, which that's going to lead me to my next point. But let me stay on this one for just a minute. I moved out to New Jersey, and same thing. Okay, now I'm a veteran. Now I've been in solar for about 10 months at this point. I had a lot of success towards the end of my tenure in Tucson, and so I felt like I was on top of the world. Well, I get out to New Jersey, whole different ball game, whole different type of people. They didn't want to talk to me. They didn't, my door pitch in Tucson, Arizona was, "Hey, I'm Riley. Like, have you heard about solar? You want to chat about it for a minute?" Like, and you get into conversations, you're making friends. When I got to New Jersey, it was all set, right? Everybody says all set. That's what they say on the East Coast.
All set. Okay.
All set, man. Knock, knock, all set. I'm all set. I'm all set. Before you can get a word out. And so that was really challenging. And I went through the same process that I went through in Tucson. I was a little faster to get through it, but I just found, I found Chad and Opalyn was their names. And I met them and we had a great time. And this dude loved IPAs. And so I like set a good appointment. We kind of went through some things. I don't think he had an electric bill at the time, or I didn't close it the first sit. I had a second appointment to follow up. I come back to the follow-up. I brought him a couple beers and we crack open a beer. We're talking, we sign the deal. Then we talk about the referral program. And I get the phone number to Opalyn's parents, who we end up signing up. And I'm still following up with Chad and I'm staying in touch with the guy. Chad became one of my best friends in South Jersey.
Wow. So
Chad, again, I'm watching UFC fights at Chad's house. You know, I'm watching sporting events. Chad was a big baseball guy. I don't watch a ton of baseball. It's a little, you know, I love baseball. I played it growing up, but it's a little too long, too slow for me. But I'd go watch games at Chad's house and I got to know Chad's friends and they became my friends too. And like, so that's where a lot of these solar deals in my career have come from. Is I can look back at my pipelines from each individual state that I've been in, and they all trace back. It's like this lineage or this family tree, and I can trace them all back to these original good, high quality relationships that were forged just through necessity, right? I mean, I was new. I was transient, so I moved to Tucson. I'm not from Tucson. I'm from Idaho. I moved to Tucson. I didn't have any friends out there except the people I worked with. So I made some friends. They happened to be my solar customers. Bada bing, bada bang. You make more friends, and they all happen to want to go solar. That's the beauty of our product.
100%. Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. And like, the better relationship you have, the better you're long lasting, the better more referrals you're going to get. But it's like, don't do it for that. Do it because you generally like the person and you generally want to get along with that person, right? Like that's a big part of what you do.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be genuine and you have to be sincere. And the cool thing about it is this, like, you don't click with everybody. I make the same effort I do with initially every deal that I'd close, I'd make the same effort, right? I'd try and do something to build that relationship. I'd try and like stay in close contact. But some of them are just easier than others. We know this. It's like friends and family members. You have the ones that you really connect with and the ones that you kind of, your friends or your family, but they're not the first phone call you make,
Yeah. What do you do in those situations when you just don't connect the way you want to, but you still, wanted to work it as a sale and, get the homeowner to go solar and all that good stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I think you handle everything I try and handle everything the same way, right? I want to be there to add value to their lives first and foremost. I need to be a value add. I need to be somebody that they look back fondly about getting to know and about meeting and whatever relationship our capacity or whatever capacity our relationship had. So, in those situations, yeah, of course, I'm trying to stay in touch, but it feels a little more forced. Maybe they don't want a new friend. Some people just don't want a new friend. Don't feel bad. Don't take it personally. Like if somebody's got 20 best friends, they don't really need another one. And
if they don't have any spots left in the fantasy football, what are you going to do, right?
You're not going to create a new, only 16 teams can make the playoffs. They're not going to change the rules of the game. So, you try your best and you give everybody your best and you deliver for everybody the same. One thing I will say, and I started doing this early on because I truly believed it. Once I figured out how to do the job well, I made sure that everybody I'd meet with, everybody says, "Oh, you sell yourself, right?" Oh, you sell yourself. It's not sales. Sales is selling yourself. It's like I didn't really know what that meant for a long time, but I figured it out at one point, and I realized that if I give a great presentation, and at some point in my presentation, if I look them straight into the windows of their soul, and I tell them, like, just so you know, I take it very seriously that you're going to do a solar project with me. This is your house. This is probably your biggest asset and biggest investment. So it means a lot to me, and I take it very seriously. Know this, nobody in the solar industry will outwork me for you. I will answer your phone call at 4 a.m. if need be. Okay, I'll answer your phone call in 6 years from now. I might not even work at this company anymore, and I might be retired in 20 years. And if this is a 25-year deal, you call me year 20, I'm answering the phone. I'll see it's your number and I'll say, "Hey, Bob, I remember you. What can I do for you?" So that's who I am. That's how I operate. And that's what I'll deliver for you and your family.
That's awesome, man. And the reason why you can say it is because you know you do it, right? And if you know you're going to do it, let the homeowner know what kind of hands they're in, because that's what they want to know, right?
I think you know, we could talk about a million things. I think one of the things that is, somebody said one time, James Volison, if nobody knows him, he's one of the managers over at Trinity Solar, absolute beast. Somebody asked a question about objections. They said, what's the hardest objection? And he said, there's only one.
What's that?
Trust.
Yep.
There's only one objection. Here's the reality. If I trust you completely, when I say what happens if my roof leaks, and you say, you don't got to worry about that, it's fine. That's a good enough answer because I trust you. So you only need these, you know, in-depth, like specific, like really well delivered objection responses. That is making up for a lack of trust. If the trust is there, your responses don't even need to be that good because the trust is so high. It's like, hey, what happens if I move? Honestly, it's going to transfer to the next home buyer. You don't even got to worry about it. Call me when that happens. But you don't got to worry about it. It's not a big deal.
It's so true, because like that's what a relationship is, right? When you get to really trust each other and be able to communicate with each other, and so the better relationship you have, the better, higher closing percentage you have, and the more referrals you can get.
Bingo. So let's move on to kind of my next point here, and these all tie together. The next one was contact over content every time. What I mean by that is the more frequently you are in contact with somebody is going to outperform one killer presentation or one killer door pitch. If you give me the guy that has the best presentation in the world and the best door pitch in the world, and you put him up against the guy that's willing to knock on the same door 50 times until he gets a yes, I will take that guy every time.
Good point.
Every time.
I like that.
I learned a long time ago that if you knock the same doors, the people get nicer to you. The same guy. Here's how I learned this. Okay, I'm with somebody training. Okay, I was a mentor at SolarCity, and I had a guy that I was training, and we were out knocking for like 2 weeks together. He shadowed me almost every day. And one day we're out, we knock on a door. Dude literally comes out and tells us to, you know, kick rocks, get out, like just an absolute jerk. So we leave and we laugh it off. Right, we're back in the same neighborhood, and he's like, "Well, we should go knock on that house." And when you're training, you get a little bit cocky and you're like, I can knock on that house again. And so I go knock on the same house. Well, guess what happened? Wow. The dude opens the door, sees it's us, and guess what the first words out of his mouth are?
You back again or what?
He apologized to us.
He apologized.
He apologized for being a jerk, and he said he was just having a bad day. And then he goes, what's up? What are you guys selling? And I don't believe we ended up closing a deal there, but I just learned a valuable lesson. Nobody will tell you to F off twice.
Nobody?
Don't quote me on it. I'm just I have just learned people get nicer over time. So if you're willing to knock on the same doors, if you're willing to talk to the same people over and over and over again, you're going to get warmer. You're going to build relationships. You're going to build trust. They see you. You're not a transient merchant. You're a figure in the community. So I think this goes, I could talk about this, you know, through different lenses, right? You can talk about this from a team building lens or from a recruiting lens. Like, let me give you a quick story here. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got some people, I'm always recruiting, right? Always trying to build the business. So I got some people in California, South Carolina, like people I'm working on all the time.
Yeah.
So last week was a really busy week for us. And I got just completely sidetracked and went down these rabbit holes of things that were just urgent and needed to be done. And there were some people that had committed to coming on board with us, people that I know. And we talked for a few weeks, a couple times a week. I got the commitment. Yep, I'm all in. Cool. Offer letter sent, signed, sealed, delivered. Okay. I go a full week, no contact. Follow up with him on Monday this week. After not talking to him since Monday, guess who's not in anymore? Guess who's second thoughts? Guess who's got cold feet? Right? The contact ceased, and therefore it cooled off. If you're fishing, you can't get a fish on the hook Start reeling it in, put your pole down, go grab lunch and come back and expect the fish to still be on the line. If you stop reeling it in, if you release the tension, the fish will get away. Everybody knows that. Anybody that's ever fished, and I'm not even good at fishing, but I know that. Can't put the pole down and walk away. The fish isn't there when you come back. And that is true with recruiting. That's true with selling somebody a deal. When you close a deal, it's right in line with what we talked about with relationships. Is the relationships are built over time, brick by brick, conversation by conversation, interaction by interaction. That's how you build relationships. Is you build trust and you build, credibility over time. So every good conversation you have compounds over time, and all of a sudden you're instilling trust and you're creating this bond that exists between two human beings that can only come through the test of time. And if you can pass the time test, like think about how often we sell a deal and then we sell it and then you cross your fingers and hope it gets installed in 2 months. Like that's why all my deals canceled at first. I didn't know you had to follow up.
Yeah.
Like they signed, it's a done deal. I'm high-fiving out the door. My number's posted on the, I already got the deal like that. So
what happens is like you get them excited to attend and they're like, yeah, it's great. And then automatically, as soon as you leave, it goes doop, a little lower. The next morning it goes doop, lower. All of a sudden their excitement is here. And now they're thinking about all the negatives in their head. So if you don't bring those things up, cancel, right?
Yeah. And it just comes, if you think about trust, if you think about, how you can build trust with somebody, you have to understand that it can't happen in one hit. Like you don't build credibility and trust in an hour. You can build some, but you don't get to build it all the way to the point where they really, really trust you.
What are you saying? I can't say trust me? That doesn't work?
You can say it all you want, man. The more you say it, the weirder it sounds, though. But I just think, these are two principles that they go hand in hand. The way you build relationships is you stay in communication, you stay in close contact, you have conversations, and you handle objections. They get to test you out over time. And by testing you out over time, you're building a lot of credibility in yourself and in what you do, whether that's recruiting and team building or whether that's, selling deals. I mean, the way you learn these lessons and the way I've learned these lessons is just by failing. And this one I'm telling you right now, like I'm giving the presentation on this. Like I just lost I lost a good leader in a state that I really wanted to get because I didn't follow this principle. And I know better, but you still, it's hard to stay good at the fundamentals and stay disciplined with everything that you need to do. Let me
ask you a question. Is there a point where you're contacting too much? Because sometimes that could be an issue where you're annoying the homeowner or it's over. Is there a balance, or is it like just keep contacting them as much as you can?
I mean, I think the answer is yes. There is a point where you're over contacting them. I think you can tee yourself up really well by letting people know. So once you get someone's contact info, one thing you can say to everybody is, hey, I just want you to know I'm going to try and be really professional and diligent with my follow-up here. If it's too much, let me know, but I'm going to keep following up with you and keep trying to keep you in the loop and just keep you, I'm just going to constantly communicate with you. And I'm doing that for you. If it's too much, let me know, but I just try and keep you in the loop as best I can.
Like it.
You can buy yourself a margin of error there by doing that. And if you do it well, but I mean, we kind of know when we're here's what I would recommend. Okay. When you feel like you're crossing the line and you're starting to get annoying or overly contacting somebody, go a little further and then stop, because you're probably more concerned about it than they are. Like don't quit too early. We're all human beings. Naturally, every single one of us is self-conscious, and we're our biggest critics. Every single one. We're in sales, so salespeople are like horribly self-conscious and like extremely hard on themselves. So everything we do, we scrutinize everything that's going on. It's like, man, am I being weird? Am I overly that's how you get better. That's why you become good at sales, is because you scrutinize every little thing that you do and you start to fine tune. But don't let that become a hindrance, and don't let your own, self-consciousness keep you from doing good follow-up. I mean, that's just silly. Push it a little further than you think you should. And, when you start to feel weird, maybe a little more and then back off. But you always ought to end it like, everybody probably knows like the dead to rights, like the last ditch effort to get somebody to engage, right? And that is you send them a message or you send them an email, whatever it is. It's like, hey, it seems like you're completely uninterested and I don't want to keep pestering you. So unless I'm misreading the situation, I'm going to stop communicating because it just seems like you want to cancel this, or it just seems like you don't want to move forward, or you'd rather I stop contacting you. And you send that one out, and a lot of times you'll get people responding back like, no, I'm just busy. I just haven't made it a priority. Like you're totally fine. That will happen. So I wouldn't ever just stop talking to somebody. I would always send that last ditch effort of, hey, it seems like you want to be done with this, so I don't want to pester you anymore. I'm going to disengage unless you tell me otherwise. It's been fantastic getting to know you.
It's a Hail Mary, let's call it, right?
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's some great gold nuggets and great information for everybody watching. So I know there was the third one you want to kind of go over. Is there a good time to get to that one?
The last one is, tribe matters. Find your tribe. Here's what I will say, okay? I have been through moments in my life when I wasn't a part of my tribe. I was in someone else's tribe maybe, and it wasn't quite where I fit. And I think we all go through that. And again, like, let's go back to just like basic human emotions and basic, like, we are all self-conscious beings who wonder if we're weird, and we wonder if like, why don't these people like me? Or why didn't they call me to hang out? They called everybody else on the team, but they didn't call me to hang out. Like, what's wrong with me? It's like, it's not you, it's them. Like, you got a tribe. I truly believe that everybody has a tribe out there. And if you feel isolated, or you feel like you're not a part of a group that is involving you and caring for you and lifting you up and mentoring you and giving you an opportunity to mentor others, like, if you don't got that, then you need to keep looking, because you're gonna find that. And once you find that, that is like pouring gasoline on the fire. And it's like that in terms of your customers. I mean, I could relate this to customers in my original sales career, going through customer after customer, building relationships, but it wasn't like my people. You could have hundreds of customers before you really find like, these people are like they're exactly like me. Not exactly, but they're into the same things. We complement each other. They laugh at my jokes. I like their jokes too. When you find that, that is so valuable, and cherish that. I think that's one of the most important things we can do, because that gives you a reason. Like, I love going to work every day. Every day I wake up, we have a little thread with some of the people that I partner with, and every month we type in TGIM, thank God it's Monday. Like, we love getting up, going to the office. Like, I work with my best friends. I work with people that I love. Our team is big at this point. I looked at our portal. We had like 300 people in the portal. Like,
wow, that's killing it.
It's a pretty big organization. And I look at the leaders that we have and the reps in the field and the stories that are there. And like, I love these people, man. This is my tribe. Like, if you're playing with me, like, we got you. We're playing to win. We're going to take care of you. I understand what it's like to be an outsider. I've been an outsider most of my life. And now that I got a tribe, and now that I got a squad that we run together and we trust each other a lot, we got each other's backs. We'll do anything for one another. Like, you got that. Now you got a winning strategy. So build good relationships and search for the relationships that are easy. They're out there. And if they're not easy for you, it's just you haven't found the right people yet. It's not you. You're not weird. I promise. Actually, you are. So am I. We all are a little weird.
We're all weird.
We're all a little weird, So just go find people that are weird like you, and fight to get that. Fight to get there. And if you're not feeling that, man, don't get discouraged if you're not there, because I've gone through years of not being there, and it's tough.
Man. It's like kind of like going to the gym. If you go by yourself, it's kind of harder. But if you have a one person you go with, that makes things a lot easier. But imagine you have a team of people you're working out with. You're going to be motivated. You're going to be excited. Everybody's going to be talking to each other. So if you're excited about the people you work with and talk to, see, it's not like you're excited to go to work. You're excited to enjoy the next day, and that's a huge part of business and any kind of sales you want to get in, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so go ahead.
Nothing.
So awesome, man. That was awesome. We have so many comments I have to get to. So is it okay if we get to the comment section here?
Dude, let's do it. I love it.
And we'll do a quick Solar Pro Q&A too, okay?
Okay, I'm all about it.
Solar Pro Q&A. So I really want to get to the comments. We had a bunch of them here. So Jason has been excited to see the show, and first one on here to comment. Let's rage. He also invited 10 friends, so we want to make sure you let us know that. He also loves the transitions. Hell yeah, that was awesome. Tim Yeet. No way this guy is 21. No, he's not 21, guys. Next. Let's go. And we got Jason said, yeah, he's a big deal. I aspire to be Riley Jr.
Me and Jason are going to connect. I've been chatting with Jason on Facebook, so I see Jason. We'll talk.
Facebook user said, yeah. And I think another person's contacting you, Tim. Said, check your PMs, I think he's saying. I'm going through it. We got some more fans. One person said batteries. Not sure what he meant by that. It's like having a baby. Don't tell everyone until 3 months has passed. It's like when you sell a deal, so many people are like, I sold the deal. I sold the deal. It's like, slow down. That's just the beginning of the process. What do you want to say about that, Riley?
Yeah, solar's full of so many surprises, man. So you have to have enough deals. You got to have enough deals so that the one you lose doesn't hurt. That's what I see. All the greats don't care about a deal that canceled or a surprise adder. If you're on a dealer model, you got adders and stuff, a surprise adder. They don't sweat that stuff because they got enough deals in the pipe. They just plan on it. They know it's coming. You can't sweat it. It'll eat you alive if you let it.
Hey, so Jason's got a little note for you. He said, I love IPAs.
Yeah. Hey, who doesn't, man? Who doesn't?
So we got some Tuxton in the house. Facebook user said, Riley is speaking nothing but gold.
I got some bad advice too, so.
We'll save that for the next show, okay?
Yeah.
And it says, the man creates a great tribe around him every day. Go Riley. Jasper is saying he's weird too. Everybody's weird, right?
I see Jasper.
So I got a question for you. Ready?
Yeah, what's up?
So Jasper has a question. He says, mental health in solar is savagery. What is your take on mental health in solar?
Well, I think it's a pretty good time to be alive right now. There's a lot of resources in terms of mental health. And you got professional athletes speaking about like anxiety and panic attacks and depression and, all of these things. I think, you got to take care of yourself. I don't really know. I mean, I'm not really an expert in this field, giving somebody advice here. I wouldn't say I'm qualified to do so. I would say that I would check before here's what I will say. Before you start checking yourself into a psychiatric hospital, I would ask yourself a couple questions. Am I surrounded by people that care about me and that are lifting me up every day? If that answer is no, you might not have mental health issues. You might just have a tribe issue. Do I have a goal and a mission that I'm striving for that's, a few years down the line that I wake up every day excited to go chase? If that answer is no, like I've quick story on this. It was my goal to run multiple sales teams. Like I got into the alarm industry as I was young. I was in college, I got into alarms, and I remember seeing these guys in alarms that were running a lot of teams and making really, really good money. And I remember thinking to myself, man, these guys were in the right place at the right time when this industry like kind of began, and the door-to-door alarm industry started blowing up, and all of a sudden it created all this opportunity. And I'm like, man, these guys are lucky. And they were good at what they did too, but let's not like, we cannot discount timing and luck in terms of people's success. You know, it's really hard. It's really easy when you succeed at something to pretend like you did it all yourself. But the fact of the matter is sometimes timing and just being in the right place at the right time gets, you know, when they tell the stories of their success, they discount those things way too much. And I don't ever want to be that guy. I don't ever want to discount that people that help you get where you are, and the fact that you just were in the right place at the right time. Yeah, you capitalized on it. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes you get lucky. I would say, so anyway, I had this goal. I wanted to run multiple teams. I wanted to be a director at SolarCity. That was my goal. And I started at SolarCity. I worked my way up to that. It was a couple of years. I loved going to work every day. I had this goal, like I had something I wanted. And then one day I got it. And I remember having it, making the money that I had always dreamed of making. And I remember I found myself like a little lost and a little depressed, like I wasn't enjoying work. And I was talking to actually one of a seasoned like sales pro on my team, like Tom Hopkins guy. His name is Brad Carmody.
Okay.
In Western Mass. So shout out to Brad if he's watching.
Shout out.
I don't know that Brad's into Facebook, but
maybe one day in the future you might see the show.
Brad is just an incredible guy, really great salesman. Didn't aspire to be in management. I was this young kid, you know, who was kind of running the show, and he was this guy that was fully supportive of me, which is kind of rare. Usually they look at the young kid and they're like, he doesn't belong here. Like, what's he going to teach me? And Brad was like, you got this, man. Like you're great. Like he was that guy. So I remember going out shadowing Brad on an appointment. We come back and we start talking, and we really are getting to know each other. We're diving in deep, you know. And I'm telling him, I'm like, yeah, man, honestly, like I'm finding myself struggling just a little bit here. Not that I don't, like, I'm not excited about. And he's like, well, what's your goal? And I'm like, this was my goal. And he's like, well, that's the problem right there. He's like, let me tell you something. I've been through this 10 times now. It's like every time you set a goal, you get excited about it, you work toward it, you hit it, and then you realize that achieving the goal wasn't even that great. Like you're still the same guy with the same problems. You just, you know, you're just you just took a step up the ladder, or you just took a step up the staircase. Like that's it, but you're still the same guy. And he's like, I always, whenever that happens to me, he's like, I'll always sit down and visualize what my goals are. So I remember that hit me pretty hard, and I drove home. And I went upstairs in my office, and it was on this whiteboard right here. And I drew a picture. I took some art classes in high school, and I took an art class in college. I'm not like a great artist or nothing, but I don't mind drawing a little bit. And I like drew a picture, and I drew a picture of a house with a nice backyard. And I wrote like, I want a nice view in 2 years. And then I drew it on a hill, and I drew a lake, and I wrote killer view, 10 years. And then I drew, you know, I put some dollar amounts up there. I said, I want this much in my bank account in 1 year, this much in my account in 5 years. I drew an org chart, and I was like, I want to run my own business in 5 years. I want it to be, and then I drew a bigger org chart, and I'm like, I want a massive business worth X amount of dollars in 10 years. And I kind of drew this whole picture, and it was kind of color coded and had timelines on it. And I took a picture, saved it as the screensaver on my phone. And every day I would wake up and I'd look at this picture of what I wanted my life to look like. And I kid you not, within 3 years, every single one of those things that I wrote down as a 3-year, 2-year, or 1 deal goal was accomplished.
Wow. You made it happen.
You know, in terms like, can I speak to mental health? I don't really know, because I don't know if this is related or not. I do know this, though. If I didn't have a killer tribe of people around me that I loved going to work with every single day, if I didn't have a goal that excited me, and I didn't have something I was working towards for myself and my family and my wife, my daughter, my son, if I didn't have those things, like I'd probably feel the same way I did that day, which was a little bit lost and a little depressed. It's like, what am I working for now? I didn't have a goal anymore. So if you don't got a goal that gets you excited, and you don't got a tribe of people around you that make it fun to go to work every day, that lift you up and make you feel good, then I would find that first before I'd turn to, prescription drugs or checking yourself into the psych ward. But also, if you feel like you're really having some problems, you probably look at that. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
No, it's great advice, man. I really appreciate that. Actually, it's a great transition to the next question here for you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Riley?
Yeah. So here's one thing I learned. I learned this a while ago, but the way you make money is not from the person writing your checks. Okay. The person writing your checks is not earning you the money. It's the people on your team that are going out working, especially if you're in leadership, right? It's not the CEO of your company that's making you money. It's the people on your team that are making you money. And I set a goal when we started Boundless that I wanted to create 100 millionaires. I wanted 100 people to never have to worry about work, never have to worry about money, never to be able to do whatever they wanted. Now I think that goal is a little bit too small. I think we can create thousands of them. In fact, I think that Boundless in the next 10 to 15 years is going to be a billion-dollar company, and I think we're going to offer multiple products and have multiple revenue streams, and we're going to do a lot of cool things, and we're going to help a lot of people make really good money and provide financial freedom for their families, and they're going to meet their goals. And I want to spin off multiple companies. I want to be the guy that when somebody wants to leave the company to go start their own thing, they come to me and say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to go start my own business. And I want to say, cool, I'd love to invest in that. Let's do it together.
Man, I love it, bro. If you have big dreams and big ideas, and you've done it already. So I 100% believe you're going to do it too, man. So love to hear it. Hey, I got a couple of questions for you. You have a couple more minutes, Riley?
I got you, man.
You're the man. I appreciate it. For a lot of people, when they join the solar industry, it's not immediate success, and especially the success you had. So why do you think you were able to begin with so much success? Is the alarm background? Is it this business, having the degree? What do you think helped you?
Man, I think I just had, it's twofold, man. The first is the part about me that just is lucky. Like, I got lucky, man. When I started selling alarms, I was being recruited by, you're in college. If you go to college in Utah, like everybody's getting recruited all the time. So I went to multiple recruiting, free dinner, right? I'll go get a free dinner. But I met with multiple people, and ultimately I went to go work with my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, her brother-in-law. So her older sister's husband, he ran a sales team. And so I went and started working with him. And this was at a big alarm company, Protection One. They're kind of second to Vivint, I believe, in size. But I remember halfway through the summer, there's a competition, and this guy, and it's a bracket, like a NCAA style tournament where you do get out to see who goes to the finals. And I watched my brother-in-law, who I knew was good at selling. I watched this dude sell 7 or 8 alarms a day for a month straight and take this thing all the way to the finals, where he tied, and I believe he sold like 13 his last day and tied the guy. They couldn't. So I think they ended up getting, I can't remember if they just gave him both cash or he didn't get a car. So I don't know if the other guy got a car and he got cash or what they did, but it was ridiculous. And I realized, like, I'm literally witnessing greatness right here. Like, this guy is the truth. And so after that, then I every chance I got to go and shadow him, I would take serious notes. And it was crazy. I mean, this guy wouldn't miss. He would not miss.
Wow.
So the crazy thing about 8 alarms in a day is it takes like 45 minutes to an hour to sell one. So
yeah. So how is that even possible? Getting there and closing it.
So how much time are you spending between doors? Like, as long as it takes to walk between neighbors, that's it. So, yeah, I mean so that was a big piece of it. I got lucky there. Okay. I got lucky that, my good buddy, James Allred, who deserves some props and some credit for my career. That's a good friend of mine from college that I started working with, and he had a big vision, and he was really motivated to do some things, and I coattailed him for a couple years, and I got opportunities because I was close with him. And then there became a time to branch out on my own. And so I think, if you find good people that are creating opportunity, that's big. There's people that are creating opportunity for others. You want to find those people because they're leaving in their wake opportunities for you to grow and to become something bigger and better. So I had a lot of that, and I took advantage of that. I think where I can credit myself a little bit is that I just always, I don't know, I've always been a hard worker. I grew up in Idaho. I'd work 12 hours a day driving a steamroller or working construction or making $10 an hour. I'd work 6 12-hour days, 6 12s every week, all summer long. And I just learned how to work. And so knocking doors for 6 hours was nothing. That's easy. That's fun. I only got to work 6 hours. You're telling me I could start at 2 and be done by 8 every day. So I think that I think we make solar way harder than it ought to be. I think that because there's such good money in solar, everybody does less than they're capable of. Like when we were making $250 an alarm, like you better have sold 2 or 3 a day.
Right.
And they're actually harder to sell than a solar deal. That's the crazy thing. But you want $750, you want to make $1,000 or $1,500, like you make more on them on the back end, but upfront pay, what you want to make, you got to sell a couple deals every day. And I think coming from that, like feeling like solar was easy, I think a lot of people get into solar and they think it's hard because they never knocked doors before, or they never self-generated business before. And they're like, wow, this is really hard. Well, if you do something harder first and then you see what solar is, you're like, this isn't that hard.
You look as an opportunity, right?
Yeah. So I think that's a big, it's multifaceted, man. It's hard to pinpoint everything, but I've been very fortunate. I've been in the right place at the right time, met the right leaders, listened to what they had to say, took advantage of opportunity when it showed up. I work my ass off when I need to. When the last thing I'll say is, if somebody's struggling or there's been somebody on my team that needs help getting a deal, I was always and will be always the first guy that will get my ass out on the doors in the middle of the wind. I'll lace them up. Like you need to see how it's done. Somebody's got to deliver for the team. I'll lace them up. I'm not afraid to lace them up. And I think that level of leadership at times has won me people's good graces. And I think you earn everything is, I've said like a margin for error. You've heard me say this a little bit, a couple of times, right? You're earning or you're buying yourself a margin of error that you can't otherwise get. Every opportunity you get to do something or do right by somebody or serve them or go the extra mile, all you're doing there is like you're buying a margin of error for your faults and where you fall short and where you don't deliver, because I got blind spots. I got things I don't do very well. I'll do a gear incentive and I'll forget to order it for like 3 weeks, I do that. And so I got to get more organized with that. But people will, if you serve people and you have good intentions and you're genuine and you legitimately are willing to work your ass off and put them first, if you really do that, which I think it's pretty rare. I think I see through it really quickly, really easily. If you ain't genuine, if you're not the real deal, I know in 1 minute of talking to you if you're the real deal or not. And the people that are the real deal, like they will be followed through their faults, through their failures. And the people that aren't, there's people willing to leave them quickly when they screw up.
Yeah, no, that 100% makes sense. I love it, man. So we got a couple of comments on it. One person said, we need people like your brother-in-law or your wife's brother-in-law.
He's my brother-in-law now. He's the man.
He's your brother-in-law.
I've been trying to get him for 10 years, So.
I'm sure, first day. Another Facebook user, everything Riley says he means, nothing but the truth. Thanks for everything. You have changed my life and my family's life. Forever grateful for Boundless and you. We are Boundless, JG.
Oh, that's my guy. That's Jeff Gaskill right there, man.
Jeff, shout out.
Manages Western Mass, sold 6 deals last week. That's what's up.
Killer. Awesome, bro. Hey, I just got a couple more questions. I promise I'll let you go. I'm sure you want to get to your family.
I got all night, man. Awesome, man.
So for me, I have I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. I wanted to see if you can kind of give out a gold nugget. I know you've been dropping gold nuggets already, but any kind of ideas, any gold nuggets or special training strategies you want to give out?
I got some. Let's see where we want to go with this. I think here's a gold nugget that I think everybody can use that has worked wonders for me. Okay, there's a balance, and there's different types of buyers out there, but there's a balance of logic versus emotion in every single sale. Okay, there's logical buyers that you need to sell with logic and with numbers and with facts and so on and so forth. And there's emotional buyers that they just got to feel like this is the right decision. They'll make a decision based on where they lean, right? If they're a logical buyer, they'll make a decision to do it based on logic, and they'll justify their decision to do it based on emotion. So you can't skip one or the other. Don't think for a second that the engineer type doesn't need to feel like this is a good idea too, because he does. Okay, he might be a little more hardened to the idea of having feelings, but he's got them, or she's got them. And the emotional buyer, just because they feel like it's the right thing to do, if they don't have the logic piece to justify their decision to do it, as soon as somebody asks them a question about it that they don't know the answer, now they feel insecure, and so they cancel based on that feeling. So here's something that I've learned to get the emotional buyer bought in, and this also works for the logical buyer too. Okay, so this is a story that I'll tell every homeowner and everybody that works at our organization. Is the story of the kids in the car in the garage. Okay. And I'll say it like this, and I'll say, listen, if you were my customer, Joe, I'd say, listen, Joe, here's why I do what I do. Okay, and I'm passionate about solar. And I don't want to make this political. It's actually not. What's really happening right now, have you ever seen like a big city and there's smog floating above the city?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Why doesn't it just like float into outer space?
Because it keeps getting more and there's more to come, right?
But why doesn't it just float away? Like, there's nothing up there. I can't see anything. Why doesn't it just disappear? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It gets stuck there, right?
Stuck, boom.
Yeah, it gets stuck. There's like a layer between outer space and Earth where this smog gets stuck.
Yep.
Okay. And there's nowhere for it to go. And what's really happening today is, I want you to imagine this, okay? If you put two young kids in the car, you got kids, Joe?
Yep.
You got kids. How old are your kids?
7 and 15.
7 and 15. So let's rewind the clock a little bit. Let's pretend that your kids were 1 and 7.
All right.
Okay. And they are in the car, and it's in your garage, and the garage door is shut, and the ignition is on.
Not a good
What are you going to do? The second you find out the ignition is on, what are you going to do?
Turn it off.
You're going to run down there, you're going to turn it off, and you're going to open the garage door, because you need to let you need to let those out.
Yeah.
Okay. The fact of the matter is we live in a gigantic garage. It's a huge garage. So like if your kids were in a gigantic dome, like the AT&T Stadium, okay, it would take a long time for that thing to fill up with toxic fumes that are enough to kill somebody. But ultimately it would. If they're there long enough and there's enough exhaust coming out of that vehicle, ultimately it will end somebody's life. Now, the good news, Joe, is this isn't my problem. My kids are fine. The garage is huge, Joe. My kids are fine. Your kids are fine. So who cares, right?
No, I'm worried about my grandkids, though.
It's not my kids, though. It's my grandkids. It's your grandkids. And it might not even be them. It might be the generation after them. But the garage is huge. But the fact of the matter, Joe, is the door is shut, the ignition is on, and there's kids sitting in that car. And if we don't do something about this, we all know what the outcome is. Now, let's fast forward. I don't know what it is, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years. This isn't about climate change or are you a Democrat or Republican? It's like, no, Democrats and Republicans both know that if you don't open the garage door and the key's on and the kids are in the car, problems are going to happen. We don't need to lean one way or the other to know that. Yep. And that's what's happening. So here's what's going to happen in the future. They're going to write history books about our generation and about how we walked out of the house and we saw the kids in the car with the ignition on and the door was shut. And the history books will be written one of two ways. They will say that we did something about it and we opened the door and we shut off the ignition. Or they will say, we turned around and said, not my kids, not my problem. And I'll be damned if when they write the history books that my name is listed in those pages, not me. Not me, not the people I come in contact with. And it doesn't seem like you want to be on those pages either.
Mic drop. I love it, man. That's motivating me right now, man. I love the story. I love it where it relates and makes sense. They can see how it for themselves. It affects their family. I love it. That's an awesome story, and it's really something everybody can use. Like everybody watching can literally take the same story and use it themselves. That's awesome, bro. I really appreciate it.
Cool.
Hey, man. Besides solar, though, what's going on with Riley? What do you do outside of solar? What's some of your hobbies? What's up with you personally, man?
You know what?
And your family.
I hang out with my kids. I'm teaching my little girl how to ride a bike. She's
Nice.
got it. Like she can ride it. She can't stop yet, so I gotta like run behind her, you know. But she's pretty close there. I got a daughter. My daughter's 4. Her name is Layla. My son Sean is 2. They're awesome. My wife Nicole is awesome. I mean, honestly, at this point, man, the last 10 months building a business and getting things up and going from the ground up has been a lot of work. So all the hobbies I used to have, I don't really have anymore. I just go to work and then I go home and spend time with them. When I get a moment, though, the things I like to do, if I can go play some golf, I love to play golf. The less you play, the worse you get. So it makes it harder to want to keep playing golf. But
Yeah,
I do love playing golf. I love going to Top Golf, especially. You know, that's nice. So on recruiting trips, Top Golf is a must. So that's a hobby. I love basketball. I love the NBA playoffs right now. Like I'm all about watching the playoffs. I'll watch as much basketball as I can this time of year.
Go Knicks.
What's that?
Go Knicks.
Go Knicks. Yeah, hey, the Knicks look good. My hot take is I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to win it this year. That's my hot take.
Yeah, Nets are a squad, man. I can see that happening for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, so last solar question. Just really curious from your perspective. I think you can really help us out with this one. Like customer experience is probably the most important thing, and a lot of solar pros, try to do whatever they can to get the homeowner a good customer experience, communication, solve their problems. But from a managerial perspective, how do you maintain a great customer experience from that level?
Here's a couple things I'll recommend, okay? I tell all of our managers to do this, and I don't know if they're actually doing it as regularly as they should, but, if you're watching, maybe I'll follow up with you tomorrow. But every customer needs to be treated like, if you're a manager, so let's say you got a team of 10 people or 15 people or whatever, every single deal is also your deal. So one thing I recommend is calling up a customer after they make a sale. So that conversation can be very, very simple. But if Joe was a customer and you just got signed up by one of the reps on my team yesterday, I would call you up and I'd introduce myself as Riley. I'm the manager for the area. And I just wanted to call you up and thank you for your business. My rep or our sales rep or your sales rep, Tim said he had a great time with you guys, that you're a really nice family. And I just wanted to thank you for your business, man, and see if there's anything I can do for you. Answer any questions, anything like that at all. And I'd probably do that. And then I'd ask how Tim did. And I'd say, cool, give me some feedback on Tim. How was Tim? Did he make you feel like family? Yeah? Did he give you some good information? Anything you wished he would have covered? Anything he could have done a better job with? I want to help him get really good at this. Anything I can relay to him? Okay, well, I thank you for your business. Anyway, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think reaching out to these customers, giving them, we can go back to some of the things I just talked about, right? Relationships. Yeah. Contact over content. Multiple people contacting somebody adds more credibility to the process. So
100%. Especially from the same company, it legitimizes the company, more people they hear from them.
Bingo. It's the same thing with recruiting. It's the same thing with anything. You're trying to bring a high-level recruit onto your team. Do not only talk to them yourself. You better introduce them to every person on your team. You should have a team night. They should talk to 5 or 6 different people, because what they're going to see is that there's more credibility to what you're doing. So that is going to add to a great customer experience, more voices. One thing that we do, every single customer that we sign up, we send one of these out. This is, you can get these from handywritten.com. And I've even gotten like reviews online. They're like, wow, the owner of the company wrote me a handwritten note. And the secret is No, I didn't. It just looks handwritten. So we send them this, and then we give them this little fridge magnet right here. So we are partnered with Give Power. I'm happy to announce that this year alone, we've donated over $70,000 to Give Power.
Wow, that's amazing, bro. Good job.
Every customer that goes solar, we donate to the Give Power Foundation, and that one customer that goes solar is enough to give one person access to clean water and electricity for 20 years. So we're in this to make an impact. We're in this to, like, we it's so cliche to say like we're changing the world, you know. It's like, are we really big enough to change the world? It's like, yeah, you could change somebody's world. You change one person's world, and the ripple effect of that it's ridiculous. The butterfly effect is real. And so that's what we're in it for. That's what gets me excited. I see, no offense to anybody that likes to flex their flashy cars and their nice houses, but that's not who I am. I don't really, do that, but I will brag about this. We give more.
That's awesome.
We give more. We'll donate more than a lot of these cars are worth. And I do enjoy that. I will brag about that because I think that actually matters more than the car.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to end it with a couple of comments here. Jason is a big fan. He said, hell yeah, I love your vision and that this is gold. And then we got Jasper jumping in saying that loves the show. So people are really enjoying it. I really appreciate it. Last one. And I'm letting you go, right? I'm letting you go. But if anybody wants to reach out to you, any last thoughts you want to leave off with?
If you want to reach me, you can email me. My email is Riley, RILEY, @boundlessinc.com. You can find me there. You can find me on Facebook. I got Facebook. I checked Facebook Messenger. If you message me on LinkedIn, I don't go through those because I already got leads. So if you're selling leads, like, I'm probably not going to respond to you. Maybe though, if you're good, if your follow-up game is tight.
There you go.
But yeah, man, you can reach me through Facebook, reach me through my email. I'm happy to chat with anybody. I'm happy to share something that I can. If I can add some value, I think that's the biggest thing. I think we should all strive. Joe, you're a good example of this, man. Just adding value where you can. I'd love to be a value add to somebody listening, or somebody that wants a little extra advice, or somebody that wants to steal some secrets from what we're doing. I'm happy to share. So
that's awesome that you're willing to do that. And next week we got our awesome solar pro, Cynthia Alvidrez, who's a power mentor, and she is awesome. She just took a trip building a house in, I believe, in South American country. But I'm excited to have her on next week. But Riley, man, you are a ton of value. I appreciate you being on here. We definitely got to do it again. We got to stay in touch. And good luck, man. Good luck with your future. I'm excited for you.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it, man.
Peace.